Better than I was this morning, yeah.
Okay, everyone's all set. Is Jim? I'll wait for Jim.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, the time is 7 p.m. Let's call to order Narragansett Town Council regular meeting, March 6th, 2023. At this time, I would like to call up the South Gansett Girl Scouts to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, girls.
Thank you. So thank you. It's going to be National Girl Scout Week, March 11th to March 18th, and we'll be doing a proclamation shortly for the Girl Scouts. Next order of business is organizational actions. It's a motion to reappoint John E. DeCulis, Jr. as judge of the municipal court. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Okay, motion by Councilor Cicilline Bonanno, seconded by Councilor Kopek. 3 in favor, 3 ayes, and 2 abstentions. Congratulations, Judge DeCulis. Next is approval of minutes, the February 6th, 2023 regular session meetings. Do I have a motion to approve this?
I'll move the motion.
Second. Any discussion?
Yes, one item, Council President. Item number 12 was a motion by Councilor Kopek. It was not a voted motion, but the meeting minutes reflect that we did take a vote on it. She just read the letter from the Coastal Access into record. So it needs to be corrected that there was not a vote.
It was accepted.
But there was no vote taken. And you have a 5-0 vote.
I'll go back and listen.
Thank you.
Okay, motion to approve minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion by Councilor Cicilline Bonanno, seconded by Councilor Kopek. Motion passes 5-0. Next is the February 6, 2023 executive session minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion by Councilor Cicilline Bonanno, seconded by Councilor Kopek. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, moving on to announcements and presentations. We have the proclamation for the Girl Scouts Week. I will read the proclamation and then we'll go down. I'll go down and we can go down as a council and we'll take photos, opportunity for photos. Town of Narragansett Girl Scout Week, March 11th to March 18th, 2023. Whereas Friday, March 12th, 2023 marks the 111th anniversary of Girl Scouts of the USA, founded by Juliette Gordon Low in 1912 in Savannah, Georgia. And whereas through Girl Scouting, girls grow in courage, confidence, and character, and learn to make the world a better place. And whereas throughout its long and distinguished history, Girl Scouts, the preeminent organization for girls, has inspired millions of girls and women with the highest ideals of character, conduct, and patriotism. And whereas Girl Scouting takes an active role in increasing the interest and skill levels of today's youth in math, science, and technology careers, and to fulfill our country's economic needs. And whereas through participation in Project Undercover, a council-wide community service project, every girl will learn that she can make a change for the better in her community. And whereas the Girl Scout cookie sale is the world's largest girl-led business, teaching financial literacy to girls of all ages. And whereas the Girl Scouts of Southeastern New England, which serves 4,800 girls in the Rhode Island area, will be celebrating 111 years of an American tradition with more than 1.5 million current Girl Scout members nationwide. Now, therefore, we, the Town Council of the Town of Narragansett, do hereby proclaim the week of March 12th to the 18th, 2023, as Girl Scout Week in the Town of Narragansett, and urge our citizens to support Girl Scouts in their endeavors. So this time, we'll take a brief recess so that we can get some photos with the council and the Girl Scouts. Thank you. Okay, we'll resume with our regular meeting. Next, we will hear from our town manager, Mr. Tierney, with the town manager's update. Mr. Tierney.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the council, public here and at home. Start off with a couple of items, some accolades for the town of Narragansett. The World Atlas has identified Narragansett as one of the most beautiful towns in Rhode Island, which we all know because we live here. Additionally, Narragansett received other accolades from the Family Destinations Guide recently. It's a website that offers kid-friendly vacation ideas. They surveyed 3,000 families to find the top 150 small towns to visit in the U.S., and 3 towns from Rhode Island made the cut. The highest ranking one in Rhode Island for Family Destinations Guide was Narragansett, and it came in as 24 overall in the report, which is a testament to the people who live in our community, the people who serve in the community, and the services that are provided by all the staff in the community. And it's a nice recognition for the town. Recently, the Rhode Island Public Transit Authority reached out to us regarding a support that they are pursuing a grant from the United States Department of Transportation for the Bus Stop Improvement Program. There's no cost to the town, but we are supporting them and their application to improve and support the bus stops which serve our local community. Some other items of interest. Recently, the town put out or accepted bids for operation of the concessionaire down in Narrow River. It was commonly referred to as the Narragansett Kayaks. We put it out to accept bids because the other contract of 5 years had expired in December. The deadline for the bids was Thursday, March 2nd, and the town has received no bids for a business to operate at that location. So we will go back to the drawing board in an effort to see if we can get someone to bid to provide something that the town would like to see there. Regarding the Good Energy Electricity Aggregate Program, they have sent mailings to the community regarding the Town Council approved program. They will be making a presentation to the Town Council and the public at a scheduled meeting on Monday, March 20th here at Town Hall. Mr. DeLuca and I had contact with Good Energy. Deb had reached out to me. She had some very good concerns that I myself had. And I spoke to Deb about this morning, and we put it together today. It's been a work in progress as it moves along. But additionally, they will be hosting a community town hall style meeting at the community center for the public to ask questions of the vendor about the program on Wednesday, March 15th at the community center at 6 o'clock. We will put this on our town website and on social media. This will be held prior to the March 20th meeting. Anything that is gleaned from the public on the 15th will be incorporated into their presentation. Following the meeting on the 20th, because this is new to the community, following the meeting on the 20th, there will be a third meeting, also a community town hall style meeting. That will be on Wednesday, March 29th at the community center. That is subject to change. It may move to town hall, but we'll give plenty of notice before then. And with this, there is a deadline for the program, which will be explained at all three meetings, that for opting out entirely will be by snail mail by April 8th and by email April 11th. This is required because the PUC needs the filing by April 14th. But the opting out entirely means in the program that was adopted, everyone in the community is put into it, unless, of course, you already have an alternate electricity provider or your solar. You wouldn't be affected at all. But anyone else who wants to opt out in its entirety would have to do so at that time. But once the program's up, if you want to opt out, you can do that as well. And they'll provide more details on how that is done in those three meetings. March 15th, 6 p.m. at the community center, March 20th at the regular scheduled town council meeting, and the following week, week and a half, March 29th, scheduled now for the community center at 6 p.m. And I think that gives an opportunity for everyone to state their case. And they also feel free to email me or Community Development, and we will get back to you with the information. We can provide this to you and any questions that you have.
Jim, can I just make one other point?
Certainly.
I think there's also a more detailed mailer that's going to go out as well sometime in the next few days, I think, isn't it? Or do you know for sure? Because I don't remember.
The exact date of the other mailings? Soon.
Soon. Sometime in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we've been talking all day. We've been back and forth with them on the schedules for these events. And we have been working steadfastly on the budget, and we have some meetings coming up with the council in April on that. And that's it for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Terry. So next up, I'd like to call Ms. Lori Kelly, up to the podium to give a presentation on the library. Thank you.
All right. Is this on? This is on, okay. Okay. Thank you very much for inviting us here to, once again, explain where we are in the project, look back, look forward, and just share some, we actually have some pretty cool pictures tonight, too. So with that, I just want to go over all this is what we'll be covering tonight, the history of the project, the construction costs, the funding, where we stand on donations and pledges. I want to go through the OLIS bond again because people seem to be misunderstanding how that's, paid back to the town. Also, alt-add, things that have been dropped from the project, our construction timeline, and then we do have pictures. So. That's just the facade that we all know and love, so. I do want to start back as to how we got here, which would be the next slide, the history. Again, in 2008, the library board started looking into library expansion. In 2011, we hired the library consultant. The library consultant's integral to this project because that's how we get the $3.14 million from the state. You have to hire a consultant and follow their advice. 2016, we had the ballot question. We passed nearly 70%. We bought the building in 2018. Then a council came in, defunded the library where we lost $500,000 of state aid, the town of Narragansett, to the library. And then they moved to sell the Belmont building. In 2020, they were stopped from selling the building. The ballot passed again. So we're back on approval for the Belmont, nearly 70%. And the next council jumped in with 2 feet, started the project, issued the bonds, hired construction company, and we did break ground in November of this year, and it should be completed by the end of this calendar year, so November, December of '23. So I gotta update my thing. So here we are. We're saying it's basically $8.9 million project, and of that was the Berman, the 5.478, which is their contract to deliver everything that the architects planned and specified in the building. That's the build-out number. The Belmont building, of course, we bought. The library portion for 2.4. HBM and Keo are professional services for $680,000. FF&E is not included in the Berman contract, and that's the shelving and tables and chairs, finishings like that. That's about $250,000. And then we have a contingency of less than $100,000 right now, and that's for unexpected expenses. So that's what we're looking at for the breakdown of the construction bud costs. Did I just skip something? Oh. Funding. Thank you. So I wanted to go over, on the left was where we were when we presented in January of '22, and on the right is where we are in funding today. And you'll see on the bottom, it's still 8.9 in funding, which matches our construction costs, so that's great. But what's happened is we've issued the $5.8 million in bonds. The first line, cash donation, that would be the donations that the Friends of the Narragansett Library, which is the 501c3, in January of last year, they had transferred $1.1 million in cash to the town accounts, and now it is up to, the Friends have continued to, push other donations over there, and it's now up to $1.535 million. We still have the $500,000 in cash that's held by the library, the assigned and unassigned fund balances. And the cash advance from the town, on the left, you'll see the previous council had generously granted us a cash advance so we could make an OLIS application, and that was for $1.5 million. We are currently down to $665,000. And that's because the Friends donations continue to come into the town's account and pay that down. But also, we received a generous grant from the Champlain Foundation of $400,000. I'm sort of stuck here. Do we go on? Hold on. There we go. So this year, what we're looking at, we've already applied for another $350,000 from Champlain, which we would hear in June. And the Friends pledges, those are people that have already committed to give money to the project, but have not actually transferred their cash to us. That's another $400,000. And I have a later slide on our current fundraising, the Friends, and we continue to go out to the community and continue new fundraising in new areas, and write new grants. So that's also another potential. Okay, so this is the OLIS bond slide. And again, the top number, the 3.143522, is what OLIS has agreed to reimburse the town to pay down the bond. So, and simply put, the town has issued 5.8 for this library project. OLIS is reimbursing 3.14. So those two numbers add up to the actual cost to the Narragansett taxpayer of 2.65. Now this slide, yeah, good. I just wanted to go over exactly how it works. The first one is Tiverton, and Tiverton's always been our favorite library to refer to. They successfully built their new library in 2015. OLIS reimbursed Tiverton, the town, $4 million. If you go on the OLIS website, every town that has a construction project by fiscal year, OLIS posts what they are receiving from the state in that year. So Tiverton is getting $299,000 for fiscal year 2022. That's, but if you have curiosity, Narragansett is never filed, so Narragansett has never appeared on this list, but all other towns in the state are listed this way. So this is the hypothetical thing for Narragansett. These are not real numbers. OLIS will not give us real numbers until we complete the project, and then it's audited. But it would work something like this. These are numbers from the bond council. We would owe in 2024 $460,564 for the annual bond payment for the 5.8. There's two different tranches. I added them together. OLIS would pay roughly $248,000 of those bond payments, leaving the town to pay roughly $211,000. So again, the way OLIS does it, the town has issued a 20-year bond. OLIS pays on a 20-year schedule. The week before, again, this is roughly the week before the town has to pay the bond payment, the state transfers the account to the town, and it all goes through the town. So what we're really on the hook for is less than half of what we issued bonds for. We can go on. Okay. I also wanted to mention, though, while we're still, a balanced budget between construction and funding, we have, over the initial last year, trying to get our budget down, had to reverse engineer. And that, simply put, was to take things out of our project that we couldn't afford. I'm mentioning this to the council in particular because the add alt list, some of the stuff that we took out, you will see on the capital improvement plan for the library this year, and that is specifically to put 4 windows in the children's room, which has no windows on that wall, 2 acoustic baffles to suppress the sound in the children's room and the young adults room. Glazing, I don't think that's on your schedule, actually. We had to reglaze some of the windows, and then painting of the entire building. And that the way that it stands, but we'll have a better presentation in April, is $145,000 that was dropped off that we hope to add back into this project while the construction is going. So more to follow on that. The second thing was a big thing that we had to drop off was the Wi-Fi terrace. We had convinced Gilbane to give us the loading dock for an outside green space that we could use a lot of different activities, and especially during the social distancing phase of the pandemic. People liked being outside and being able to have fresh air and not be right on top of each other. That has been completely removed from the project, but I am pleased to say tonight that we were contacted by Senator Jack Reed, and he asked us to apply for some earmarked funds from the Appropriations Committee. And so that was due today, and we filed it at 6 o'clock tonight. So we're hoping to get a considerable amount of money towards the Wi-Fi terrace. It will be a delay because they estimate 18 months or so before we hear, whether we have been accepted and whether we'll be getting the money. So that's a little bit down the road. But we're so happy that that looks like it's going to come back into the program, and we'll continue to go for other grants for that as well. Also on this, we do have a furniture shortfall. Again, in the 8.9, there is, I think, about 200,000 or 250,000 being carried for furniture, shelving, tables, chairs. That's really not enough to outfit the library. So at this point, we are repurposing a lot of our steel shelving from the existing library will be brought over there. And then, we will make do until we, have another source of funds for more matching tables and chairs. I mean, it's not as dire as it sounds. We do have a budget, but it's not enough of a budget to fully fund the entire, library with new materials. This is once again our plan, the blueprint for how everything's laid out in the new library. And again, I urge everyone to go to the library because we do have a lot of information there. And this has been posted and updated and posted and updated for months because there are always little tweaks or, things get blown up with more detail. But that is in the library constantly for anyone who cares. I do just want to take this time, too, to thank the Friends of the Narragansett Library. We had a fundraiser, Dan Barry, who was integral in getting a lot of this cash, but it's actually the Friends that have done the heavy lifting. They hold the money in the 501c3 and, as we said, transfer it to the town. They've also have fantastic fundraising. I know there was a Towers event. This winter, I'm sure you've heard, we've been doing restaurant partnerships. We had one at Twin Willows, and we're having one, I think, on Wednesday night at George's. So the way that it works, it really helps the restaurants because they're in a slow period, and we get like 100, 150 people to go to the restaurant on a slow night, and then the restaurant gives the library a percentage of the take on that. So it's a win-win for everyone, and the restaurants that have signed up for this couldn't be happier. But again, that's all organized through the Friends, annual book sale, jewelry sale, and this is just a cash flow of, as the money came in, that's the 1.535, 400,000 still outstanding. And seriously, without the Friends and the other library advocates, this project would not have gone forward. So thank you. This is, it's really difficult to see, but this is the timeline for construction. And if you examine this, you will see that in March, they started doing the studs for the walls, and so we're right on target on that. I can't say enough good things about the way the construction is going. Berman, the local firm, they're really moving forward and anticipating, the next month what we need to be doing and flying through stuff. So if you go to the pictures, the next ones, this is the metal studs, and you can just, moldboard. So that will be like one of the next things. And, it was one big empty space, but it's really fleshing out now. So, as many times as we've had these, there's still misunderstanding on how things work. Remind you that, There is an answer out there, the truth is out there, it's just not on social media. So I welcome everyone to come by the library, ask any other questions that you have, and that's it for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually-
Do any council members have any questions or any comments?
I have a few questions. I know Dan has them to put on the screen. Lori, if you don't have the answers to these tonight, not a problem. You can come back at another time. I know we submitted them to you on Friday.
I
so-
never got them on Friday.
You never received them?
Did you send them to me?
I sent them through Jim's office.
I'll have to
Sure,
check-
why not?
I'll have to check through Patty's email on that.
Okay, we might need to ask you if you could come back at another time to answer some questions. It's all about fundraising, Lori, and you might not want to believe this or not, but I'm your biggest fan as far as fundraising. I hope that you guys just really hit the jackpot and get money in. The more money you make, the better it is for the town. But my questions were about 13 of them after we received the capital improvement plan and just fundraising in general, giving us some more specifics on numbers.
So do you have them? You can put them up, I don't care.
Okay.
Okay, so we answered the first one.
So the first one, so it's 1.5 million that the previous council lent to the library. How much have you, it back is about half back, and when do you anticipate?
665,000 is what we
Okay.
owe. That was right on that.
Do you have any time frame from when that might be coming back, Lori?
Yes, the time frame is the contract that we signed with the previous council, which said May 2025.
May
That is when it would be
2025.
Paid off
Okay.
by.
All right. So the next one is really coming from the nice brochure that you have at the library where it talks about the different naming opportunities for the library itself. And many of them have not been taken, and they have a dollar amount next to it, but there are also a good amount that have the word taken next to it, but it doesn't have a dollar amount. So I was hoping that maybe you could elaborate on this, because some of them are such large things, like the name of the building, that I would have to think you've been able to raise some good money here. So,
The building has a name, though. That's why it's taken.
all right, so how about the rest? The building has a name, so you're going to keep it the Maury Lugents building, Maury Lugents Library?
That's why it's not on the list. I believe if you go through the ordinances of the town of Narragansett, to change the name of the building, you have to give at least half of the money for the project. So
Okay,
that
that's
seemed to
great
be-
news. That's great news, Lori. So how about some of the other ones that are listed also? Is this taken? So I wasn't, adult reading area, children's center, children's main desk?
Yes,
Cookbook
well, they
Center.
all had money associated with them. I don't have it off the top of my head.
No problem.
I guess I'm wondering why this is a question?
This was a question because it's all has to do with fundraising. And so the brochure did not indicate how much money it was. And I'm trying to calculate how much money you've raised.
No, that's not how to calculate how much money we raised.
Why-
How much
it's
money we
one way-
raised is the 1.5 million, and there's 400,000 still in pledges that haven't been paid. These are just people who have selected something with their 25,000 that's already in the pot, recorded with the 1.5, because they want this particular room. There are a lot of people that are not in that list, but they are still in the 1.5 million.
Okay, I'm just looking for a way to break it down so we can actually know how the fundraising components are working, how much you're making from each area. Because if you do need more fundraising, we need to let the town know that there's going to be more fundraising needed, or if these are still opportunities that people could do, if they wanted to be able, the large community meeting room, if that was still available, maybe somebody's watching tonight and maybe they might be able to write you a nice check for that, but there's no dollar amount listed in it to let them know what that would be. So I'm just trying to find out from this. It looked like it could be a very excellent
I think
source.
that you might not have the most recent fundraising thing, because there was an updated version, and as far as the ones that have been taken are taken. The ones that are still available have 25,000, 2,000,
Understand.
4,000.
I
But
just-
all of that money is in the 1.5, so I don't understand breaking it down.
It's
I
how,
guess.
it's how you understand a project, how much money you're making from each different project. The numbers you have with just putting a number out doesn't really detail how effective all the different fundraising projects are. And I'm trying to assess, because from this one alone, it seems like you could make a whole lot of money. And I'm just trying to understand really how much money you made from that. And again, if you're not prepared to answer these questions tonight, Lori, if you didn't get the email, I
am
apologize.
confused by the question, so maybe if you could write me something as to why it's pertinent what the Children's Story Center that someone paid for has already paid for it.
Because I'd like to know. I mean, it was just being transparent of how much money has been fundraised from this
The
brochure.
fundraising portion is 1.5. How
But-
can we be more transparent? You
Because
want to
you're not
know
ju-
who gave
No,
$25,000 for that?
I'm not asking for who, I'm asking how much. Lori, I'm not here to argue, I just really want to understand the fundraising, and I'm hoping the fundraising is going incredibly well. In order to understand the fundraising, just to have a number, here's how much we've raised, doesn't help me as far as understanding how the fundraising is going. I mean, you're having a lot of different fundraising, and I think the restaurant is a great idea. You're helping our local economy as well, that's great, but how much money are you making off of it? You know, how are you doing the projects? I'm just looking for overall numbers, and it sounds like you didn't receive the email, so let's go ahead and reschedule this at another time and go through.
Okay, very good.
I was hoping you were going to sponsor something.
You were hoping what?
I was hoping that Jill was going to sponsor
No,
something.
I actually gave away my commission when we bought the
All
Narrow
right.
River Kayak
Thank you.
operation, so there you go.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Lori. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori.
Okay, so next we will move on to the open forum public comment portion of the meeting. Again, open forum public comment is a time for any member of the public to speak out on a topic not on the meeting agenda. A sign-in sheet is available to members of the public who wish to speak during open forum public comment and located at the table in the back of the council chambers. Speakers will be called in the order that as they appear on the sign-in sheet. Before open forum public comment is closed, members of the public who did not sign up will be given the chance to speak. Speaking in a meeting during open forum public comment is limited to 3 minutes. Speakers are required to state their name and address before speaking and are expected to conduct themselves in an orderly and respectful fashion. The comments of citizens accessing this portion of the meeting are neither adopted nor endorsed by the body, but heard as requested. So at this time, Mr. Tierney, do we have anyone signed up for open forum?
There's one signed up. My penmanship's pretty bad, so I can understand this. Roger, there you go. Thank you.
Please state your name and address.
Roger Jadis, 1 Blindbrook Drive. Last Friday, I picked up the Narragansett Times, excuse me, and I read an editorial, and I went, wow, that's really something. It was written by Gail Socroft. Most of us know Gail. She's affiliated with the Friends of Narragansett Town Beach, Narragansett Peer Association, the Resident Association. And I really encourage members that are here tonight and that aren't here tonight is to pick up the Narragansett Times and read her article. I'm not going to take the time to read the entire article, just one short, the last paragraph. Our town needs to be united rather than being divided by those who still have not accepted the current council's leadership, are threatening to oust a fellow council member by using a recall process or are attacking fellow councilors in the press or social media. If our leaders say they love our town, and they should prove it by acting with grace, respect, and a united front. When the leadership is fractured, our town is fractured. Please give us your grievances for the highest good. You and your town will be better for it. And like I say, the entire article, everyone should read it. So that's all I have to say tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Janice. So was that the only sign up? Does anyone else wish to speak in the open forum? Mr. Shields? Was that Mr. Shields? Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah.
My name is Robert Shields, 37 Earls Court. I received a notice in the mail from the Narragansett town, from the town of Narragansett, about the energy aggregation program. I thought this is the first time I saw a name of an organization, a partnership called something that I can't recall now in the announcement. But tonight, Mr. Tierney mentioned good energy. Which partnership are we talking about that's going to supply energy to the town of Narragansett residents? I don't know that it's all very confusing now because I have two names now that are supposed to be funding providing the energy to the town residents, and I don't know which one it is. I'd appreciate an answer on that.
All right, okay. Mr. Tierney.
It's a good question, Mr. Shields. There is some confusion about it, and that is exactly why Deb was one of the sponsors of this, and she's been on top of it, is making sure if she sees anything that's askew on it or something that's not clear, she's also brought that to our attention, and we've been on the vendor for that for a while. Good Energy is the company that searches out the rates that are best. Again, this is the town council approved this program, and the way it works, Good Energy is the company that searches to find the best rates for the community, and those are the rates that the people who are in the program are charged. The actual provider of the electricity will change. Your bill will remain Rhode Island. Your bill will read Rhode Island Energy. If you have a problem with your electricity, you call Rhode Island Energy. If you have a problem with your bill, you call Rhode Island Energy. Nothing changes for the consumer except whatever rate is negotiated by Good Energy.
For renewables.
Yeah, and there's different stages, and this will all come out in the 3 meetings. The people who are participating in the program have a choice of which level they wish to pick, which is there's a default, there's one that's for ultimate renewable energy, and then there's one that's in the middle. They can explain it much better, but Good Energy is the vendor that seeks out the supplier of the electricity, but it shows up at your door just the same as it does with Rhode Island Energy. I don't know if that answers your question, but if it doesn't, go ahead.
Well, it clarifies a little bit. I think that it'll be confusing if we can't know the name of the partnership that's involved as a principal in this providing of the electricity to the town residents. So I just direct
good
that
energy.
to the town council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come to the meeting.
Yeah, there'll be meetings, as Mr. Tierney mentioned, for the public to attend. Okay, next, moving on. Does anyone else wish to speak? Seeing no one, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion by Councilor Cicilline Bonanno, seconded by Councilor Kopech. Motion passes 5-0. Next, moving on to new business. At this time, I need to pull motion number 12, which is a motion to approve victualling holiday theater and dance entertainment license applications for Narragansett Casino LLC, doing business as Narragansett Casino, 11 Pure Marketplace, Narragansett, Rhode Island, subject to local and state regulations.
Madam President, can I just ask for the reason for the pull of the motion?
Yes. I'm going to actually ask Mr. Davis to explain because I just found out earlier today.
I asked Eva to remove that after speaking with counsel for both parties involved in the litigation on that matter. Given the complexity of it, there was no way for me to get up to speed and advise the town council on the matter in a thoughtful or intelligent way. So I asked, well, I've informed both sides that I needed some more time to review that so I could properly advise the council.
Mark, can I ask you, do you think you'll be ready for the next meeting for that?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so next, for new business from the fire department, we have a motion to accept a reimbursable Fire Act grant of $367,770 from the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Department of Homeland Security Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program, and authorize the town manager to sign acceptance of said grant.
I'll move the motion.
Second?
Discussion. Actually, Mr. Tierney, would you like to discuss this?
Yes, again, Chief Partington has secured a grant for the fire department for a critical component of their service, which is communications. And the amount of the grant of $367,000, with $350,000 of it paid for by the federal government, is substantial savings to the members of the community and an enhancement of the safety for both our staff and the public and the efficiency of the services that they provide. And I'd like to thank the members of the fire department. I'd like to thank the chief for his administrative skills in pursuing these.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Good job again.
Thanks, Chief.
Any questions from the council, or?
No questions. I have a comment, though. I just wanted to say thank you and also thank Kevin Tuthill for his work on this. And I know that Stanley would be really proud of you guys.
Thank you, Chief. Anyone from the public wishing to speak? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion by Councilor Cicilline Bonato, seconded by Councilor Kopech. Motion passes 5-0. Next up from the engineering department, we have a motion to approve the contract extension for backflow prevention device testing, municipal buildings for the 2023 testing with Gem Plumbing and Heating Services, LLC, in the total amount of $10,800 for 72 devices under the same terms and conditions as the original contract.
I'll move the motion.
Second?
Any discussion? Questions from the council? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion by Councilor Cicilline Bonato, seconded by Councilor Kopech. Motion passes 5-0. Next up from Public Works Department is a motion to approve the renovations to the Information Technology Department at Town Hall to be completed by Abcor Restoration Company, Incorporated, in the amount of $148,320. Automatic Temperature Controls Incorporated in the amount of $158,383, and EW Audit and Sons Incorporated in the amount of $21,250, for a total amount of $327,953, utilizing the General Construction Services Contract, State Master Price Agreement, and the General Electrical Services Contract.
Council President, could I interrupt for one moment?
Sure.
On this item, I just want to advise the council, just to an abundance of caution, everything in this is correct, and we certainly urge approval of it. Abcor, their contract had expired. It had been brought to our attention, and it will be up for renewal under the same terms and conditions, with the exception of the addition of prevailing wage for their new contract. It'll be on the March 20th council agenda, and I did speak to Keith Lescarbeau about that. But perhaps just to avoid any criticism of the council or the town staff, even though it has been done in the past over many years, when people agree to complete a contract when their contract is active, they're bound by the terms and conditions of the agreement. But on an abundance of caution, I respectfully request that we pull this until the 20th and give the council an opportunity to consider the extension of the APCOR contract, and then later in the meeting, address this. It's not urgent. It doesn't, there'll be no consequences for a 2-week delay.
Okay, we'll pull the motion. Okay. Okay, next up for Information Technology Department, we have a motion to approve the purchases of CIS Services MDR Advanced Antivirus for information technology from the Center for Internet Security Incorporated in the amount of $18,150.
I'll move the motion.
Second?
Any discussion? Questions? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Motion by Counselor Cicilline Bonanno, seconded by Counselor Kopech. Motion passes 5-0. Next up from the Parks and Recreation Department, we have a motion to approve the 2023 Middlebridge Marina rental slip rates at $800 per full slip and $600 for a side slip for the 2023 season.
I'll move the motion.
Second?
Discussion? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion by Counselor Cicilline Bonanno, seconded by Counselor Kopech. Motion passes 5-0. Next is a motion to approve the request from the Narragansett Little League for their annual opening day parade to be held on Saturday, April 29th, 2023 at 11 a.m., subject to state and local regulations.
I'll move the motion.
Second?
Any discussion? Comments?
Next item.
Okay. Anyone from the public? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion by Counselor Cicilline Bonanno, seconded by Counselor Kopech. Motion passes 5-0. Next up is a motion to approve the filling of the position of Parks Laborer Monday through Friday shift due to a retirement, and this is the one that Mr. Tierney would like to speak on.
Do you want us to move the motion first or no?
Yes.
Yeah, move the motion.
Second?
Discuss.
Yes, Council President, this item, if we respectfully request that it be amended to include any subsequent vacancy that may occur due to an internal transfer and potentially another vacancy as a result of said transfer if it's an internal candidate, so we don't have to go up before the council 2 more times on the same subject.
Okay.
You could do it in infinity, too.
And
Any-
beyond.
Okay,
And
so any questions or discussion from the council?
Is that because, what is it, bumping or whatever? Someone comes on and someone leaves that
Yes.
position, moves it around or whatever?
Ryan Smith is retiring after 20 years of service for the town, so it's a vacancy, a union position vacancy. It's first available to people that are in grade in the union. If someone internally bids for the position in the union, then a vacancy occurs in that position, like the bumping, and then that position comes up, and then there's a full vacancy, and it just keeps going down the line if it's an internal candidate.
Just have to add
No
that
additional
onto you have to add that onto the framework here?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
Okay, so I guess just, somebody want to make a motion to amend that motion?
I'll make the motion to amend the motion to also include the words "and any subsequent vacancies due to transfers."
Second?
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion to amend by Counselor Lawler, seconded by Counselor Kopech. Motion passes 5-0. And again, just to clarify, the motion is that the town council approves the filling of the position of Parks Laborer Monday through Friday shift due to a retirement and any subsequent vacation due to the transfers. Is that okay?
Well, there was
Oh,
a-
and then going back
there
to the
was-
main.
There was a motion that amended the main motion, then you need to go back to
Yes,
the main
that's right.
motion and
Okay.
approve as amended.
Yeah. So motion to approve as amended? Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
opposed? Okay. All set. All right, so next, from the town clerk's office, we have a motion, actually, we pulled that one. We have a motion to appoint one individual to the Land Conservancy Trust.
I have a nomination.
We have to,
I know, right?
okay, so nominations.
I have a nomination for Thomas.
So I'll
Hoagland.
make the motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Deb makes a second.
Okay, now we have nominations.
I'd like to nominate Thomas Hoagland for the Land Conservatory Trust. And I'll-
Second.
No, any other candidates? So we're doing nominations. Any discussion? Any other candidates?
No, but I'd like to take the opportunity to talk about Tom. So
Okay.
I just have a couple of notes. You know, he's been a resident of the town of Narragansett since 2007. He's the president of the Friends of Canarchet Farm, which is a nonprofit affiliation with the town. He has, and that job is stewardship for Canarchet Farms. He is a master gardener for 12 years, and I just think he would be an excellent addition to that board. So I would ask the council to follow me in that vote.
I agree, I concur. Anyone else want to make any comments, or?
The only comment I want to make, I mean, I know it's transparency, this is Deb Kopech's husband. He's incredibly qualified, we're lucky to have him, but I just don't know how you're going to work it. You're on the land trust, are you going to remain on the land trust?
Well, we've actually, Jim and I have talked about this a little bit, and we've determined that it doesn't really cause a problem. I actually abstain from a lot of votes at the land trust because they come before the council anyway, so I would continue to do that. I don't think it's an issue. And we both know how to keep our council pretty well.
Okay. Anyone else?
But he's great, just so you know.
Anyone from the public? Okay, so somebody want to make the motion to appoint?
I'll make a motion to appoint Thomas to the Land Trust Conservatory.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
Oh, yes. Or abstains, okay. So motion by Councilor Cecilian Bonanno to appoint Mr. Hoagland, seconded by Councilor Lawler. Motion passes 4 ayes and 1 abstention. Next up is a motion to appoint 1 member to the Galilee Advisory Committee.
So moved.
Should be easy. I think it. Second.
Any nominees?
Nominate Steve Marasco.
Any other? I think he was
There
the
are
only
no other
one. Yeah.
nominees.
Would you like to discuss?
No,
Anyone?
I don't have any, I mean, he's the only applicant. I know him well, who lives
Yeah.
in Briggs Farm. I think he's well qualified. I don't have the resume in front of me, but I didn't anticipate nominating him tonight, actually.
I know him as well. I would definitely,
Matt has his hand up.
yeah.
And I spoke with him yesterday. I asked him if he would have, I mean, this would be the second committee he's working on, which is allowed if there are no other applicants, and he feels that he has the time available to do it, and he is a very qualified candidate and really loves the pond, Swat Pond, as well as Galilee, so I think he's a great choice.
Anyone from the public? Mr. Mannix?
We have like 1 minute. 2 minutes.
Matt Mannix, I served on the Galley Advisory Committee, and I know the candidate, but really I'm up here, and I'll be very brief, to talk about Ray DeRosa, who's leaving. And he was a person who was very hands-on for that committee. He would go out with some of the plantings. He met with Susan Gallagher and I, the purchasing agent, when we were trying to make sure there was get information about what the fund balance was for the Middlebridge Fund, because there's, as some of you may know, it's the landing fees from the ferry that fund that committee. And he just was somebody who spent time and put his heart and soul into beautifying Galilee. So I just want to give that credit to Ray DeRosa, who's I served on that committee for 8 years. So thanks, Ray.
Thank you. Okay, so can I make a motion to appoint?
Make a motion to appoint Steve Marasco to the Galilee Advisory Committee.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion to appoint Steve Marasco as a member to the Galilee Advisory Committee. Motion by Councilor Cicilline Bonanno, seconded by Councilor Kopek. Motion passes 5-0. It is now 8 p.m., and we will be moving on to the public hearing decision portion of our agenda. So next up on the agenda is a motion to reschedule a public hearing to amend the text of Section 5.5 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Narragansett entitled Zoning for the purpose of adding a new historic district, 170 Clark Road, the Camp, and that date is April 17th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion by Councilor Lawler, seconded by Councilor Cicilline Bonanno. Motion passes 5-0. The public hearing will be held on April 17th, 2023. Next on the agenda from the Town Council is a motion to read, pass, and adopt as a second reading an amendment of the Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Narragansett entitled Administration, specifically Section 238 entitled Work Sessions.
I'll move the motion.
Second?
I don't think there's any discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion by Councilor Cicilline Bonanno, seconded by Councilor Kopek. Motion passes 5-0. Next up is a motion to adopt amended Town of Narragansett Council rules and guidelines, changing the times for public hearings and adjournment to correspond to previously approved time shift and start time.
I'll move the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, so this was just being brought back. We just discussed these recently. I think the council probably recalls the last meeting we had. We actually now start our meetings at 7 p.m. We had to wait. We actually had to break for a while until 8 o'clock because we finished most of the agenda entirely early. So that, because it was scheduled for 8, we had to wait till 8 o'clock. So this is just really shifting all the times that we had previously. So, we shifted from 7:30 to 7. The public hearing was usually at 8 people scheduled for 8 p.m. per our town council rules, it is. So this is just shifting it to 7:30. And on the time we had 11. I know we had discussion on that, but it's just shifting to 10:30. And I think part of it is just the agenda setting. I'm responsible for the agenda setting and making sure that the stuff that we schedule isn't going to go hours into the night. So this is kind of where that's coming from. So I'm open to any council members' comments or feedback on that proposed change.
Do we know that the stenographers are okay with that time frame? Okay.
Yes, and actually I did, I believe we checked with planning board. We checked Mr. Tierney. That was all okayed by, I believe when we discussed it, you had said that planning board was okay with the time shift and anyone else that would be affected by it.
We can check with the stenographer, but I don't, we did confirm that? Yeah, we're all set then.
Anyone else have any questions? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion by Councilor Cicilline Bonanno, seconded by Councilor Kopek. Motion passes 5-0. Next is a motion to adopt the resolution of the Town of Narragansett in support of housing and development land use.
I'll move the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, okay, so this comes from me. So I'm actually going to have Mr. Tierney speak on this. Our town manager is actually on the executive board of the League of Towns, Municipal League of Towns and Cities, and he is also a vice president there, and I'll just have him speak on that.
Yes, this resolution is supported by, I believe, virtually every town in the state. The League of Cities and Towns has recommended that we bring it to each council. I think every community can agree that, especially local leaders agree that zoning and land use should remain a local decision. It should not be dictated on how our governing bodies and boards and commissions operate within our communities as far as determining what is appropriate for zoning and land use. This resolution just states that. It doesn't go specifically against any proposed legislation. It speaks out that they want to maintain the autonomy that communities do to govern their own communities. And I'm sure many of you have seen some of the housing packages that have been rolled out in the last week, and I'm sure there's some concern at some point for everyone. So I urge the support of this
Thank you.
recommendation to the League of Cities and Towns.
Thank you. And I did, the chair of the Affordable Housing Collaborative Trust, Nick Edwards, did send an email. He was not able to attend, but he did send an email in support of this resolution. Do any council members have any questions or comments? I do have a question for our town clerk. Do I have to read this resolution? Okay. 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 All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Motion by Councilor Siciliano, seconded by Councilor Kopech. Motion passes 5-0. Next is a motion to adopt a resolution on protecting municipal-owned conservation properties by deeming conservation properties as being held in the public trust pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 45-36.1-1, and as having conservation restrictions pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 34-39-2A. It's specifically Assessor's Plat K, Lot 281, Francis Avenue.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay.
I just have one comment to make, if I may.
This one comes from Councilor Kopech. So
Sure, go ahead.
Do you want to?
Oh, I'm in full support
her?
of it. I just wanted to bring up the point that there's about 350 acres in the town of Narragansett that has been preserved, and I think that's great, and I love that side of the work. But it's funny because we just talked about affordable housing, the motion before, and we're struggling with that because there's no available land. So I'm going to vote for this tonight, but we have to get better at it because there's no land left.
Well, this
to
land
put
is
anything on.
wetlands.
So I just, again, I'm in support of it, and Tom's committee has done an outstanding job in preserving the land in Narragansett, but there's not much left to preserve.
This would not be one of them.
Yeah.
It's fully wetlands.
Yeah, and it's on Noseway. No,
bordered
I know,
on
it's just an
wetlands.
important point I wanted to make, because I
Understood.
feel like it's a little bit of a struggle at times.
Can we
any
can we have
other
Tom come
council
up and speak? Tom
Oh,
Rogers?
let's just hear from the council first.
Oh,
if,
okay.
Yeah, this is the one that was just abandoned, correct? So is this putting it in some sort of a different category than it was before we abandoned it, like we
No,
abandoned it?
it wasn't
it's going into-
abandoned. It wasn't
Not
abandoned. It was
abandoned, I mean.
granted to the town.
Granted, I'm sorry, I got the
Yeah,
wrong term there.
Yeah, and so this is, Tom actually could probably explain this way better than I can, so, he could answer your question. Is that all right?
Do you wanna
Okay,
listen
I
to her
just
first?
want to make sure if it's like an addition to what we did, or why is it, why couldn't we complete it all in the first time?
I think it's a protection issue.
It is absolutely a
Okay, so
protection
we'll
issue.
have Mr. Rogers come up and
Makes
speak on
more
this, and
sense if we're
then,
going to protect it, to get it all one shot, but
Well,
I think he'll fill you in.
okay.
thanks.
We have to own it
To
first.
Susan's first point is that we've been working very much with the affordable housing people to identify properties that would not be having conservation value, but more having other value. And generally speaking, when you have conservation value, it's wet, as Deb said, but it's also not near public transportation or near other resources that might be more available for people in affordable housing. Fully support the issue. In this particular case, the Land Trust recommended that it be protected or be acquired, I guess, through donation, because it happens to be part of a neighborhood stormwater management area. There's no stormwater management facilities like sewers or drains in the area, and it all goes into one particular area. This has to be protected, otherwise the neighborhood's stormwater management would not be as effective. There's 5 other parcels that are contiguous to it, or almost contiguous to it, that we now intend to go after and see if we can get them to donate it as well, to make sure we have the whole area protected for that resource. To Councilor Rinaldi's comment about different areas, you can't, we came before you guys had agreed to accept the donation, and once it was deeded and once it was recorded, then we can go back and ask for it to be protected. You couldn't do it in two different shots. I think I mentioned this the last time we spoke about this.
Yep.
Now, it's happened before. The last time we did this was about a year ago, where we had protected 17 parcels for about, 40 parcels for about 135 acres. So this is sort of a business as usual thing for when the land trust acquires conservation properties. We were highly recommending that we protect it for both having, being held in the public trust under one state law, but also having a conservation restriction on the other hand. Any questions?
So you
Does that-
understand, Steve, why they can't be done at the same time? We have to actually acquire the land before we can protect it. So this is the second part. So it's almost like having two readings.
Yeah, and the deed has to be recorded.
Adds
at that
another
point
step
and
to
it's
it, but
completed.
the goal is to get it to the final, where it is now. It adds another step to the process, but I mean, I guess that's just the bureaucracy
It is another
of it.
step, yeah. Well, there's been several steps. First of all, it has to be, the people have to come to the land trust and propose it to us. We go through a process of making sure there's no environmental hazards, they get free title. There's no other sort of issues with the property. Does it conform with the land trust acquisition criteria? Is it contiguous to other conservation areas? Is it large? Does it provide some conservation value, basically? And then once you do that, then we make a recommendation to town council to accept the properties after titles are cleared and all the other sorts of thing has to happen. And then once the council approves it, then it has to be recorded, and once it's been recorded, at that point in time, we come back and ask for the protections. But just one point, though, without these protections, there is no perpetual conservation protection for municipal land trust unless there happens to be a third-party conservation easement holder, such as DEM. In these properties we have here, there are no third-party conservation easement holders. Therefore, they're not perpetually protected. And so by putting these two restrictions onto it and being held in a public trust, that does keep it where the people who donated to the property or the town bought it for conservation purposes forever, which is the intention of it. Now, I'll go reiterate that Rhode Island is the second state in the union that has the application of the public trust doctrine for conservation land. Usually it's used for water and riparian rights. And Narragansett is the first town in Rhode Island to do that. So Warwick did it about a month ago as well. So hopefully we'll be able to extend it to other communities.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Thank you, Tom.
Does that clarify any questions any council members may have? Is anyone from the public wishing to speak on this agenda item? Okay, none. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Motion by Councilor Siciliano Bonanno, seconded by Councilor Kopech. Motion passes 5-0. And last is a motion to adopt the resolution establishing the compensation for the judge of the municipal court.
I'll move the motion.
Second?
Council
This-
President, can you explain the rationale on the compensation, just for the public?
Sure. So this, the council actually sets the salary for the municipal court, and it's by ordinance. And previously, it was $400 per week, and we're changing it to $400 per session. And I did benchmarking. We did benchmarking on what other towns and municipalities pay their municipal court compensation. So it was actually, when we offered the position to Judge DeCabelis, he accepted the compensation as well. So that's kind of where that came about.
Thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion by Councilor Siciliano Bonanno, seconded by Councilor Kopech. Motion passes 5-0. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Sorry.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion to adjourn by Councilor Siciliano Bonanno, seconded by Councilor Lawler. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.